Hey everyone, Eric on paper here, and in case you hadn't figured it out, I'm Eric. So today we're going to be drawing and inking Groot. Now you start off with your basic shapes and rough everything in. Keep in mind though that Groot is not built the same as a human, he has much longer limbs, and when designing your composition, keep that in mind. With this pose, I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone of doing typical action pinup scenes and recreate that moment where he creates the fireflies. So I wanted to go for a more serene, uplifting image. Now, if you're inking this piece yourself like I will be, you just need to give yourself enough details where you can proceed with the inking. Like you'll see up here in a moment, I didn't bother to add too much shading or rendering of texture in the pencil stage. It just roughly looked like this before I went to inking. Now, with the inking, be sure to shake it up thoroughly so you don't get any solid bits in there, and use the eyedropper and just get as much ink as you need. If there's any excess, just put it on the side of your paint tray. And when inking, I start in the areas with the heaviest shadow as kind of a warm-up, in areas I know that I won't make any mistakes in or can be easily corrected. And I work from thick to thin. Inking with a brush takes a lot of time and practice, and thankfully with Groot, you don't have to worry about too many fine details. The face is especially difficult because if you over-render it, you'll lose his eyes, and there'll just be too much detail, so I didn't put as many render lines as I would on the body. And the body is just a matter of figuring out where the shadows are. In this case, I wanted the primary light source to be from the fireflies he created, and brushing accordingly. Now, as I was inking this and looking at the video now, I realized that I over-rendered certain areas, and that is completely okay because I'm going to show you a way to fix those mistakes. And another good way to have your characters stand out, especially in the inking stage, is to use a brush for the main details of the figure and the main outline and something like the environment and other effects. What I do is I go in with microns or other inking implements and use those to create a contrast. Now here I'm using a circle template for all the fireflies and varying the size and shape of them. And now when I talked about me over rendering, what I did was I just go in with a white gel pen and apply ink, white ink to the areas that I feel I over rendered and create some more contrast, create some more interest throughout the figure, and try to avoid as many pure solid black areas as possible. This gives him still more of a gnarled tree appearance, but doesn't look like the complete mess that it does when over-rendering. The thing I'll say about this step is to be careful in that you don't apply too much correction or too many white areas to the ink, because it will start to look like a micron inked piece, or you inked it with a rapidograph, and the main attraction of a brush is that it's a brush. It doesn't look like anything else that you ink, and you don't want to lose that. And I am just using subtle white lines to highlight areas, provide more texture, more rendering, and a character like Groot is a lot of fun to practice, especially inking with texture, because that's one of the inker's primary jobs, is to provide texture. And a lot of professional inkers say that the brush feels more alive than a pen or any other instrument. It's debatable if this is true or not, but on a character like Groot that is so filled with life and so loving, why not use a brush? Thanks for watching, and keep telling your stories.